is the one that made everything all possible.
The reason we want to use it, folks, is because that's what we were forced to use in Colossians. The firstborn of all creation. We determined that that has to mean the preeminent one of all creation. Now that we fixed as a benchmark. Okay? That isn't even up for discussion. So now when we see Christ referred to here as the firstborn again, and I say, what does firstborn mean? Why not give it the same definition that we have forced to come to in Colossians? Wouldn't that be consistent theology?
Oh, yeah.
So if it's a preeminent one in Colossians, and we know that's a fact, and the same identical words used here, why wouldn't we want to interpret this as a preeminent one here?
Well, I certainly see the point you're making, and it may very well be the right way, but some of these translations are taking it the other way, the way that maybe Bob and some expressed, and that the firstborn represents the members of the church. That's the way a number of these translations, if you want me to read them, but that's the point that they are, the way they were expressing the firstborn.
Well, I'm just going by what this translation, New American, says, to the general assembly and the church of the firstborn.
Yeah. The first, but if you could read it in the church, the firstborn who are enrolled in heaven, meaning the people who are in heaven.
If that's what a translation said, I suppose that's what you'd have to come to.
Yeah, it says.
Which translation's that?
Well, that was yours. That was to the general assembly and church of the firstborn who are enrolled in heaven. That's the NASB. And then it says to the general assembly and church of the firstborn which are written in heaven. It says to the church of the firstborn whose names are written in heaven. And here it says, you have come to the assembly of God's firstborn children whose names are written in heaven. So it seems like the point that they are making is that this firstborn represents the church, because whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Those are the firstborn. I'm not saying their point is correct over your point, but it's another point. It seems to be the point that they're making.
I understand the point you made with clarity, and maybe you're right, but I would tend to want to think that the who are enrolled in heaven is a reference to the church, and the firstborn is a reference to the preeminent one.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Of the firstborn,
Definitely,
yes.
you could look at it either way, just
Yeah.
grammatically. It's just a question of where you want to pause your thought and think that the thought ends here and picks up here. How are you going to define your thought?
I see the problem. I didn't pick up on the point you're making, but I see the point you're making, and I could be wrong. But
Well, it seems like to me that the church is of something, and then it gives you that word, firstborn.
yeah, the church is of Christ, and who are enrolled. Who's the ones that are enrolled in heaven are the church. I don't know. I'd have to look.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's the way I take it. And
Well, I think it's a very good time to emphasize the point on the firstborn that you made in your discussion with those Jehovah's Witnesses, that the firstborn doesn't mean necessarily, what do you call it, not order?
the first in succession.
It's not like first, second, third in
Right.
succession born, but it's the firstborn, meaning the one who has preeminence.
Right.
So that's important. Maybe everybody understands that that's how you're looking at the firstborn.
Right. So, and it's the preeminent one, and we base that upon the case of what?
With context.
No, the case of
Jeremiah.
Would be Manasseh and Ephraim.
Ephraim and Manasseh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Genesis 18:22 and Jeremiah.
No, it's not
Oh, no, no, no,
18:22.
Was it-
And
okay.
I pointed out earlier,
Yeah.
that right in this chapter, there's another example of the same thing, the firstborn. Esau being the firstborn,
Yeah.
he had the preeminent position, but it was switched.
Yeah.
And the secondborn became the firstborn as far as preeminence.
Right.
Jacob became the
Yeah.
firstborn
Right.
in the
Right.
inheritance.
Right.
That was a good.
And
point.
that right there establishes that firstborn means the preeminent one, and Christ is the preeminent one. That's why he's called the firstborn.
Heavy stuff.
Okay. Who are enrolled in heaven, and to God the judge of all, and to the spirits of the righteous made perfect, and to Jesus. So, if I had to argue against myself, I see how I could argue against myself on this, but I kind of hate to do it. But